warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and hello to everyone. I'm Dr. Aisha. Today we are going to learn about theories in corporate governance. In this topic, I will divide my presentation into several sections. The first one is on corporate governance definition. Why we need corporate governance? Why we need corporate governance theories? Theories in corporate governance, which includes agency theory, stakeholder theory, stewardship theory, resource dependency theory, and resource-based view theory. Now we look at the definition on corporate governance according to Malaysian Code on Corporate Governance in Malaysia. Corporate governance is defined as the process and structure used to direct and manage the business and affairs of the company towards promoting business prosperity and corporate accountability with the ultimate objective of realizing long-term shareholder value while taking into account the interests of other stakeholders. Another definition of corporate governance given by Solomon 2007, which defines corporate governance as a system of checks and balances, both internal and external to companies, which ensures that companies discharge their accountability to all their stakeholders and act in a socially responsible way in all areas of their business activity. Donnelly and Mulcahy define corporate governance as a set of control mechanisms that is specially designed to monitor and ratify managerial decisions and to ensure the efficient operation of the corporation on behalf of its stakeholders. Why we need corporate governance? We need corporate governance to mitigate accounting scandal, fraud, earnings management activities in the firm. We also want to avoid financial crisis, since in the past, poor governance system lead to the occurrence of financial crisis in the corporate world. As a monitoring and control system in the firm, and to ensure the resources in the firms are well governed, to ensure the stability of the economy in general, and to cater for the need of globalization, where business complexities have been increases. Thus, to cope with this expanding business nature, firms need to develop sound corporate governance structure in the firms. Why we need corporate governance theories? We need corporate governance theories for us to understand the relationship between fraud, earnings management, corporate governance, and firm's performance. Theory is needed in understanding why managers behave like that, or what are the motives of managers' decision or action. For example, we can possibly find that there is a significant relationship between the birth rate of the kangaroo in Australia and the inflation rate in the United States, for example. But what is the theory behind it? What does it mean? How can a theory explain such relationship? Only theory can explain why such connection occurs. If there is no theory that can explain such relationship, it means obviously that there is no connection, no relationship, no association between the birth rate of kangaroo in Australia as well as the inflation rate in the United States. Now we look at the theories in corporate governance. I will explain about agency theory, stewardship theory, stakeholder theory, resource dependency theory, and resource-based view theory. Agency theory concentrated on the relationship between agent and principal. Agent is the managers, while the principal is the shareholders. In this relationship, principal appoint agent for agent to make decision on behalf of the principal. The agents are expected to protect the interests of the principal and discharge their duty diligently. Jensen and McLean, 1976, defined agency relationship as a contract under which one or more person, the principals, engage another person, that is the agent, to perform some service on their behalf, which involves delegating some decision-making authority to the agent. In the principal-agent relationship, agents are responsible for making decisions on behalf of the shareholders, and they must exercise their duty to the best of their ability in such a way to maximize the shareholders' wealth and to fulfill their expectations. Nevertheless, agency relationship suffers with two main problems. The first one is conflict of interest, And the second one is information asymmetry. Conflict of interest occurs when agent acts to fulfill their own personal interests when making economic decisions while ignoring the implications for the shareholders. In this instance, agents tend to prioritize their own self-interest rather than the interests of the principal. Self-interest motivates the agent to divert the corporation resources to activities that are detrimental to the objectives of maximizing shareholders' wealth. Example of agent personal agenda include paying higher bonuses to themselves regardless of company performance, enjoying paid holidays, buying expensive club memberships, acquiring a corporate jet, and having a luxurious office. The corporation pays off these perks, which leads to the reduction in the shareholders' wealth. Information asymmetry represents the gap of information between agent and principal. Agent works in the firm every day and are knowledgeable about all business transactions and affairs. Thus, agent or managers surely have more information about the firm rather than the principal or the shareholders. With more information in their hands, managers therefore tend to make decisions that benefit themselves. Nevertheless, the information held by the shareholders is always low because they depend on the information supplied by the managers through the annual reports or the firm's website. Agency theory assumes that people in the market are rational, which means managers, shareholders, creditors, analysts, government, and all other market players think rationally in making economic decisions. In other words, when people are rational, they tend to make decisions that will enhance their personal welfare or their personal benefit. Therefore, agency theory assumes that managers tend to be involved in opportunistic behavior such as mismanagement activity, fraud, and accounting scandal that potentially increases a firm's agency costs. Agency costs can be divided into three main categories. The first one is monitoring costs, which includes the cost of auditor, cost of appointing auditor for the auditor to check or verify the financial statement. The second is bonding costs, which means the compensation or remuneration costs to appoint the board of directors. The third one is residual loss, which includes earnings management, fraud, and accounting scandal going on in the firms. Healy and Palapu outline several solutions to the agency problem. First, appropriate contractual incentive must be developed to reduce conflict of interest. Second, monitoring function of the board of directors is effective in observing and controlling managers' behavior on behalf of the shareholders. Third, capital market players, including financial analysts and rating agencies, are responsible to act as the whistleblowers in case of any wrongdoing. In other words, the collaboration and effort by internal and external governance process are important in solving agency problems. Stewardship theory focuses on the stewardship function of the managers. Steward in this context means the guardian or the protector of the firm's assets. In explaining stewardship theory, Davis, Scorman, and Donaldson put forward the idea that a steward protects and maximizes shareholders' wealth through firm's performance because by doing so, the steward's utility functions are maximized. Stewardship theory articulates that managers are hired for handling the firm's operation in a well manner, and a manager's achievement in success is measured by satisfaction he gets from the performance of the firms. Therefore, according to stewardship theory, the manager's primary objective is to maximize the firm value rather than their self-serving objectives. Stewardship theory assumes that managers work with good faith and honesty in order to increase the wealth of the shareholders. The managers behave in an honest way in operating the business in order to protect their reputation and to secure their future careers. Stakeholder theory focuses on the role of the firms in fulfilling the interests of all stakeholders rather than shareholders only. Stakeholder theory stipulates that the corporate firms or entity works to improve a balance between the interests of its diverse stakeholders in such a way that each stakeholder receives some degree of satisfaction. Companies have no longer sole responsibility towards their shareholders only, but also to the society in which they reside and operate in. Therefore, stakeholders of company consist of its employees, customers, suppliers, shareholders, prospective investors, creditors, governments, banks, society, and many more. Stakeholder theory proposes that organizations are separate entities and they are connected with many parties while achieving their targets. Therefore, it is management's duty to make sensible action and decision to put their best effort in attaining the benefits that satisfy all of the stakeholders. The goal of an organization is to minimize its dependence on other organizations for the supply of resources and to find ways to make resources available. This is because every organization needs resources to survive, and this leads to the interdependence to other firms. The interdependence leads to uncertainty, and this is not good for the future survival of the business because other firms control the supply of the resources that basically firms need in running their operation. Therefore, in order to reduce uncertainty in the future, firms need to have pooled resources or to form a coalition to survive in their business endeavor. For example, let's say business A produces hamburgers. In order to produce hamburgers, business A depends on various suppliers, which includes the supplier of the flour, the beef, chicken, vegetables such as tomatoes, cucumber, and salad. This means that business A is dependent on its suppliers to produce hamburger. If one of the suppliers fails to supply the products, it will affect the production of the hamburger in business A, obviously. This creates uncertainty in business A because of high interdependence with their suppliers. In order to reduce interdependency, business A need to think and how they should produce their own chicken, their own flour, beef, and vegetables. Other than that, managers in business A can form a coalition with their suppliers to ensure the survival of their business. In this instance, the resource dependency theory concentrates on the role of both that help to secure and acquire the crucial resources of the organization by their external linkages to the environment. In the other words, in order to secure the survival of the business, it is important for the board of directors to have good relationship or network with suppliers in order to ensure the business operation runs smoothly. According to resource-based view theory, firms design their strategies by organizing their internal resources in response to the environmental opportunities, while counterbalancing the external threat and preventing internal weaknesses in order to achieve competitive advantage. Resource-based view theory reflects internal resources as the cornerstone for firms to achieve competitive advantage, and in order to be recognized as a firm's resources, the potential assets must comply with certain criteria which are valuable, rare, and hard to imitate. The classical view suggests that firms' resources comprises of tangible and intangible assets. Tangible assets includes financial assets or physical assets that are of value financially and can be reported in the balance sheet. Intangible assets, however, are subject to wide-ranging possibilities that includes capabilities, knowledge, skills and experience, information technology, nationality diversity, international experience, organizational competence, culture, gender diversity, knowledge diversity, directed age, and many more. The resource-based view theory also recognizes that diverse assets in the firms contribute to the firm's competitive advantage. Diverse board characteristics provide synergies to the firm's organizational outcome and offer a heterogeneous perspective in critical decision making. The more diverse is the perspective of the organization, the higher is the firm's capability to attract more resources and to generate new ideas in a creative and innovative fashion. Alright class, it is all for this topic. Inshallah next week we will learn about fraud and earnings management. Have a nice day to all of you. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum.